Make sure I haven't accidentally muted anything or done anything stupid. Can you hear me? Is it? How low can you go? I know what I'll do. I'll test it by. Oh no, I can't because I'm not actually watching the stream. I'm just watching Streamlabs. Whoa! Subscribed. What a boss! Trade me back into the green, please. I'm doing my very best. I am doing my very best. Eos being a bitch. Ooh. Ooh. I'll allow that. Got to allow something. Did you see that, Jesse? Well, I clicked it at the same time. So yeah, I'm using low latency mode now on Twitch, which Jesse alerted me to, which is super cool because it means that I get to see and respond to you guys' chat pretty much, as if like you were typing it to me and I was just, on the phone or something. So that's pretty cool. Almost in real time. Slightly slower than real time. I'm gonna refresh my chat because my viewers thing hasn't updated on here. We changed the title of the stream. No, we didn't. Oh no, we didn't. Jesse's gonna change it though. I trust in Jesse to change it. Yeah, I just refreshed the chat, so if any of you said anything, it's all disappeared now. As usual, you can submit questions in the normal way with our beautiful bot. I believe it is !Q or something like that to give you a link to the form. Let's just try it. Yeah, there you go. So there's your link to the form if you want to submit a question. I haven't really got a topic to discuss this week. I mean, there's a few things that I'm going to talk about that are kind of, just in my head and things that are interesting. But apart from that, there's nothing really that strikes me as something super cool that we can discuss. So, yeah. I think my chat is entirely broken now because now I don't see anything unless no one's speaking anymore. So let's take a quick look through. Let's take a look at some recent history actually, because I closed a couple of Tesla positions because I was a bit concerned that it was going to drop a little bit further yesterday. Yep, both closed yesterday at 85 and 86, which is, not great. I mean, obviously this one's realizing a loss of minus 18%. But if we have a look at the chart up here, where I have Tesla open, we can see that my hunch was correct. So I was looking at this and I didn't trust it at all. I felt like there had to be a move down coming. I think there could be more downwards movement coming actually. Maybe not right now. I'm tempted to buy this a little bit here, but I think I'm gonna wait until Monday because I'd rather have the funds available in my balance to kind of look at some crypto trades over the weekend potentially because they're also bottoming out, I think now, at least on like the 4 hour, 1 hour kind of time frame. So yeah, I'm more tempted to keep my money there for now. But yeah, we closed our position, so we didn't see this loss. We did realize a loss, but we didn't realize as much of a loss, I guess, as we could have. So I'm tempted to rebuy. I think I'm gonna wait because the market's closed in a few hours anyway. So see how that goes. But yeah, Tesla is an interesting little trade. This one is also interesting. So this is Activision's chart. We're on a 1 hour chart at the moment. So here was that earnings report and the shenanigans that happened there. If any of you missed my weekly update, or you didn't listen to the earnings call or follow the news around it, you maybe don't know that the Wall Street Journal decided to leak their quarterly earnings report with incorrect data and incorrect numbers. So the stock price shot up, shot down. Everyone panicked. Then the real earnings report came up, and it rallied pretty substantially actually from there, back up to the 73 resistance level up here that we can see has proven resistant, as I guess a resistance level should do. Up at this level here. Yeah, but what's interesting about Activision is that I said, I'm going to find the post because I'm very proud of myself for predicting it. Hold on, I'm going to find my post. This is the fun part where I have to dig through my own feed to try and find when my last weekly update was. Okay, that wasn't actually as far as I thought it was going to be. So in here somewhere, I talk about Activision. And I suggested, here we go. My suspicion is that the new Call of Duty titles will feature Battle Royale modes, or that Blizzard is working on its own entirely new IP in the sector. And yesterday, what did we find out? Battle Royale mode in new Call of Duty. So that's made me happy that I called it, and we did open some positions, and I do think that it will rally upon release of the game. Unfortunately, that's some way away. I was hoping to see a bit more of a reaction when that news came out. I'm not sure if this is when it was, because I think it was yesterday. So it could have been here where people noticed it and it kind of climbed back up again. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting, and I'm super proud because I basically called it. So Blops 4, yep. Black Ops 4, which is the one that's got Battle Royale mode, as Jesse told me yesterday, because I didn't actually look at the launch event myself, but Jesse decided to inform me that we were correct. Because to be fair to Jesse also suspected the same thing. So, yeah. Hey, can't read your name because for some reason Twitch decided to make it literally fluorescent, like green on my screen. What's up to you too? So yeah, the Activision thing was pretty interesting. I think, kind of cool, and I think Activision should push up a bit higher. To be honest, I don't think it should really be below this level for much longer. Markets have been doing pretty well recently as well, so yeah, I would expect it to move higher. What else has happened? So I didn't push out a video of my update this week because I was feeling a bit blah. I was incredibly sunburnt and had I think I had sunstroke because I was just like absolutely shattered and very hot. So yeah, I mainly slept when I got back from the Isle of Wight. So yeah, I didn't put out a video, so sorry about that. I will resume on Monday, a couple of days time, once I've got all the stuff coming through. Solar Edge, super bullish on it. First Solar, super bullish on it. I mean, so Solar Edge actually have acquired a small Israeli company. Actually, they announced that during their earnings report. It's a company that does UPS, Universal Power Supplies, or Universal, not Universal. What does it mean? The PS is power supply. It's basically like a redundancy system for when you don't have power. So it's kind of an interesting choice. Like, not really very many people use those along with solar. I think they basically just bought it because it was cheap and because some of their customers may be interested in it, and they saw it was an easy company to just kind of turn around and leave its own standalone business. It's a weird choice. I don't really see it as a massive strategy decision. It's not like they have some like super strong IP or anything that they're sitting on. Uninterruptible, yes. Unlimited. Wow. Unlimited power supply. You can use it forever. No, it's not unlimited. That's what solar power is, though. But yeah, no, Solar Edge. I'm very very excited by. The earnings report was really strong. There was nothing in there that I wasn't expecting, except for the acquisition actually, which I guess is kind of odd. But they're seeing like really, really strong demand in certain areas of Europe, Australia, which is also strong for First Solar. They're on track to start kind of diversifying their markets a bit because currently the US is responsible for a massive chunk of their market share. Who goes to the Isle of Wight for a holiday? My girlfriend, that's who. But I don't mind it because, you know, Isle of Wight's quite nice to walk around, and I had a new camera, so I was playing around taking photos. Yeah, and it's very unhappy that you're criticizing the Isle of Wight, by the way. Well, I enjoyed the island, but not your family so much. You can all sit here and listen to the incoming domestic, which is about to take place. So yeah, SolarEdge, really, really happy with. I think, yeah, I think they've got a strong future. Like, I really do. They're working on a lot of stuff. I think, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't really pay too much attention to the analysts. Actually, eToro's got a really cool little page. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you go on to a stock on eToro, you can click this little research button. I did this like a year ago, and it's still like one of the coolest pages, I think. And it basically aggregates a bunch of analyst positions and stuff, and what their price targets are and stuff like that. So you can see here that some of the targets are actually substantially higher. And I think a few of these were changed following the strong earnings. So I think this one, for example, was following the earnings report. And we have a couple that came in just before the earnings and changed their stance on it, or reiterated, as it says. But yeah, no, I'm pretty confident that 67 is very low for Solar. I think. Oh, this is First Solar. I'm meant to be looking at SolarEdge. SolarEdge. So SolarEdge was actually at like 36 like 6 months ago. So it's almost doubled. Where is it? My bad. My bad. So yeah, SolarEdge has gone up by a lot already. You can see here, like this jump here was just absolutely insane. Which was their earnings report before last, which caused that massive jump up to like 55 or so. Before then, it was trading in like the 30s range. I still think it's got a pretty long way to go. Again, so we look at the analysts, and yeah, you're right. Most of them are around 67 or so. I think that realistically, you know, they've got a pretty long way they can go. Their offering is much more. I don't know how to put it really. It's a much more like complete package. I feel that they're offering, and it's a lot more like small business and even consumer friendly than First Solar, for example. So yeah, I like what they're doing. I think they're doing really well. I don't see the real underlying reason that I think that they're going to continue to do well is that I just think the market is going to continue to explode. So yeah, that's my view on it. I don't really have a price target in mind, but I would suspect that somewhere around $80 for the end of the year is pretty possible. It just Yeah, it just strikes me that way. Again, remember that this quarter that they just reported is meant to be their weakest quarter. Like, seasonality is a big thing in solar companies. So, like, the next 2 quarters are the 2 quarters that you should be really looking for some substantial jumps in SolarEdge and First Solar. But SolarEdge and First Solar are my two largest positions now. So let's have a look and see how big they are. First Solar is 2K. In fact, I can just order it by invested. Yeah, so SolarEdge is my largest non-crypto position, and First Solar is my second largest now. Behind that, we've got Microsoft, Activision, Netflix, and Disney. There's a few more that I plan on moving up. So Spotify, Shopify, and Square are two that I'm pretty keen to ramp up. AMD, ironically, I started closing out just as it started to correct. I mean, the last couple of positions were closing in profit anyway, but actually, while I'm here, I'm going to set a stop loss on this at 12.4, just as an emergency little stop loss there. Yeah, overall, I'm pretty content with how things are going. Let's see. Thanks for your video. I look forward to your videos. No problem. You're welcome. Speaking of which, I don't know how many of you guys have seen it. I imagine a reasonable number of you have. I am now a columnist for the Evening Standard. And where can you find it? You know what? I've never actually really tried to look for where I am on there. I don't know where I come under. I've never really searched through. I think I'm under business. Weirdly, I guess it's not that weird. I'm a trader, so yeah. Here's something that references to my article. But where is it? They dig into me a bit here as EOS is falling. They mentioned that EOS has fallen by a massive amount somewhere in here, or maybe not. Maybe this is a newer one. Yeah, it's a newer one. But anyway, I've got articles going up on here now once a week. So I think we're planning on picking them up every Monday. I've just kind of finished writing this week's one, so it's the kind of content that I really wanted to do in my blog, but I just guess I didn't have enough of like a kick to do it or an incentive. So yeah, the guys from the Evening Standard who kind of reached out and have poked me into doing it have really, you know, made something good happen, I guess, because I think the reaction to my first article on there was pretty good. So hopefully you guys like it. But yeah, feedback's always welcome. I don't even know where to find it. This is a bit silly, really, isn't it? How do I find it? Can I just search J Smith? No, that's the diary ones. No. Oh, there it is. I found it. Yeah. So here's the first article. If you guys want to come and have a look, it's got like a little video and stuff. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. The Bitcoin guy. Yeah, I don't know if that's what we're going to call the column or what, to be honest. I'm kind of leaving it out to them. Wow, Browning's got a cool flag. I should buy one of those. That's really cool. Unrelated to anything. Not sure why my Twitter just went onto the Brownings Twitter page. Let's have a look at some of the questions, because I've been kind of vaguely ignoring them, so I apologize for that. First of all, I'd do the one from chat because he didn't submit it via the form, and I might lose it if I don't answer it. Can you share your thoughts on the 7,800 Bitcoin barrier everyone is looking at, and the soft dip under 8K, no stop loss triggered, not as much leveraged long to liquidate as we may think? ? Well, let's bring up Bitcoin's chart over here. So, yeah, I mean, I think obviously you've had the death cross here. What's interesting, speaking of this death cross, is that Ethereum was the only one that didn't have it. So in the top left, we've got Litecoin. If I bring up EOS, you can see EOS has also had a death cross. Bitcoin, death cross. Dash, death cross. But Ethereum still somehow just riding on top of this 200 moving average. And avoiding that death cross. This is all on 4-hour charts, by the way. So that's kind of an interesting little thing. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the cross gets closer on here, if we break up or if we break down. I think if we break up, that could help the other cryptos recover. But a breakdown could again have a bad effect on the other cryptos as well. But I think that's something to look out for in the next, maybe this weekend. I think probably it'll be early next week though. Because that could effectively be a bit of a signal to look out for. But if we head back onto Bitcoin's chart itself and take a look, so we're looking at Bitstamp, and the volume is nothing crazy. I don't think there are going to be very many people selling here, to be honest. I think the downwards pressure is primarily coming as a result of a lack of buyers and just more mining coins coming onto exchanges, rather than people specifically looking to to short or something like that. I don't think there are very many leverage longs to squeeze anymore. I think most people got squeezed back here, and I think here we saw like this really consistent, reasonably long period of consolidation, at which a lot of people started to kind of, the market regained some strength. I think it's actually something that's interesting is we can expand this long-term trend line that I've still got over here up and just kind of see where we're likely to fall to if we do. I accidentally snapped that, I think. Yeah, so there we go. Extend it along there. And you can kind of see that I think going below this 7,800 line, which you can see here, I think is a bit of a push. If we're doing that, then we're going to be riding along this trend line, and that trend line has been holding for the past long time, really long time, over a year now. So I guess that's the support, and that's the sign to me that like shorting right now I think is pretty dangerous. I wouldn't be trying to short at the moment. Obviously, in hindsight, back here would have been a great time to do it, but realistically, I don't think a short is a good call at the moment. Personally, I'm just kind of buying some of the dips and just turning around some small profits. I think I'll be looking to buy when we hit this 7,800 level. I think it's probably inevitable. Like these two resistance levels here are kind of strong. So maybe maybe we can stay here, but it wouldn't surprise me. We're already below it, so I suspect we'll come down further. We'll see how the parabolic SAR does when it catches up a bit further in a couple of candles' time. See if it's going to reinforce it or if it's going to flip over. But yeah, I can't really offer much more suggestion than that. I think we will go a bit lower, but I don't think we're going to like the 5,000 or 3,000 levels. I said that a long time ago, but I still think that that's too low, and that we're not ready for that. There's a lot of people going around posting the charts from 2013, 2014, and again, like I have to continually remind people that things are very, very, very different now. Like we have institutional money coming in, we have major apps and major companies, Fortune 500 companies, effectively using Bitcoin and cryptocurrency these days. Recently, it was in the news that a German bank was starting to experiment with Bitcoin. There was another bank over in where was it? The Philippines, which has started mining Bitcoin. There's all this talk about Ripple being used as payment rails, but actually, I think a lot of banks are looking at the Lightning Network now and kind of wondering if that might be another potential route to go down. So I think we're looking pretty strong, to be honest. I think we're looking reasonably strong. I would be very surprised if we break down below this 7,400 or so level if we get there. Sorry, that was a really long answer. I'll answer your Ripple question in a second, but first I will turn to the two that were submitted via the question form. Do you think EOS is going to rise before the launch? Yes, I do. But I think what's worth remembering is that EOS is still just another cryptocurrency. So to a certain extent, it is still tied to the overall crypto markets. And if Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, Stellar, or if all of these other major coins are all going down, the pressure is on for EOS to go down as well. And again, because it's a small cap, because it's an altcoin, the chances are that it will be more volatile and it will drop by even further than those coins. When markets are dropping, you want to be in Bitcoin or in dollars, and when markets are going up, you want to be in the altcoins. That's the general rule of thumb. And I think the markets are going to be going down at the time that this happens, still, potentially, or it could be flat maybe. But I would expect at least a small kick up. I would also consider that it probably won't happen for a couple of days necessarily, because you have to wait for that mainnet to actually be launched, and for everyone to kind of establish what the main chain is. In theory, when it launches, there could be multiple chains, so you kind of have to wait until everyone's settled on one chain to know that that's the one that's going to be the chain that everyone starts working on and trusting in. But yeah, I think it will go up. It really depends on how successful the launch is. Really, it's an experiment. Imagine getting in on Bitcoin when it actually first launched on like the first Genesis block and the blocks after it. You don't have this long track record of years of trust and transactions that have not been reversed to really trust in. And it was only a few weeks ago that Vitalik found a very kind of very obscure and quite unlikely but plausible flaw in the system for following the blocks and seeing who's making the next blocks. So it's always possible that there's going to be problems, and I think we'll be waiting at least a few days, maybe a week or so into it until people really start to trust it, and that's when the price will start to rally more. And also potentially when we start seeing some airdrops and stuff as well. Because the other big reason, maybe not on eToro, but one of the big reasons to make sure that you have EOS at that launch is that I think a lot of airdrops are going to be using the Genesis block for EOS as the snapshot for how they do airdrops to the community. So if you have no EOS when it launches, then you won't be getting the airdrops from some of the projects building on top of it. But again, that only really applies outside of eToro at the moment, since we don't have private key access to our cryptos on eToro yet. Yeah, I would advise on eToro. There's less of a reward for being in on EOS, because you're not as likely to get those airdrops. I don't think, if you look at all of the different forks that have happened to Bitcoin in the past year or so, like even Bitcoin Gold and things like that, eToro has only given us our Bitcoin Cash so far. So it's very unlikely that they're going to give us tiny little airdrops for EOS, off the get-go. So yeah, I would keep your funds during the launch. If you're a complete newbie and you're scared and you have EOS outside of eToro, then I'd probably keep them on Binance. If you're a bit less of a noob, then I would keep them in your own wallet, maybe something like MyEther wallet, or even Exodus, where you have the private key. Yeah, but make sure that you register your EOS for the token swap. Otherwise, you may end up out of pocket. The coin swap event. Okay. What shall I answer next? Let's go back to my multi-screen. Let's just come back over here. The portfolio is suffering a bit over this past week. Portfolio, I closed a few profitable trades, but the overall portfolio has suffered a bit from this correction in cryptos. What do you think about Spotify stock? Spotify is interesting. I kind of touched on it in a post a couple of days ago, where I was talking about Google, actually. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. So I was talking about Google's efforts in rebranding the YouTube Red service and trying to make something out of YouTube Music. And I looked at it and I thought, this is disappointing. That's basically my thoughts. Let's see if I can find. The Verge did a nice little article on it. Not Verge currency. That's not what I want. that's exactly what I don't want. Yeah, here we go. So here it is. You can see like they've made their own standalone app and everything, and they're working on their own thing. And here's one of the interesting things down here. And you look at what you get from having YouTube Music Premium against YouTube Premium, and the difference is like, I don't know why anyone would buy this and not this, first of all. But second of all, like, this is expensive. $10 to be able to download some of the videos within the app, listen in the background. I mean, is that a thing that people like? Is that not just a normal thing? Why is that not just a normal thing? Why do you have to pay for that? That's crazy. Um, and ad-free music, and like you compare it to something like Spotify, and like this is a joke. It's an absolute joke. I made a little list, just off the top of my head, pretty much, in the comments when someone kind of questioned me on it. Uh, on just how bad it is as a competitor to Spotify, and it's like, no, first of all, nobody cares about music videos. Nobody watch it. Like, you watch it maybe once if it's a cool video or if it's funny or whatever. And people do use YouTube to look for music, but mainly because they don't have Spotify. If you had Spotify, you would use Spotify. So the people who are willing to pay for their music pretty much are already doing it because Spotify is pretty affordable, right? Um, so you do have these people that are using YouTube, but they don't care about the videos. They're just doing it because it's free. Um, and they could use Spotify, but why would you make an account on something to use it for free when you already have an account somewhere else that you can also use it for free? Um, the the streaming video means that the sound quality is never going to be as good. And I know that Spotify is not like, the golden standard on sound quality. Uh, there's quite a few other music streaming services that are specialized in that kind of area. But even still, like, that is something that people will consider. And it's realistically impossible for them to surpass Spotify on that while they're still, providing video. Again, people have already chosen their preferred streaming platforms at this point for music. Like, why would anyone switch? If you're already using Apple Music or if you're already using Spotify, you've got your playlists on there, you've got your recommendations on there, you've got your friends lists and stuff. It's easy to share music from it. Why would anyone switch? I don't see a reason for it. YouTube content. So this is kind of an interesting one where I say that the YouTube content is stale. It's not stale. It's just that it's not new. It's not the new cool up and coming stuff, because the new cool up and coming stuff, generally speaking, doesn't have a music video. And sometimes they put it on with like the words over the top or whatever. But generally speaking, they're going to go to places like SoundCloud and Spotify and services like this where they can really easily go and put their content up. Another big problem is quality control. Like, go on YouTube and search for a song and find out how many versions of it there are that are not the legitimate version of the song, or maybe they're live, or maybe they're maybe they're played by someone else, or maybe it's a solo, or an instrumental. Like, there's so many different versions of songs and remixes and stuff, and trying to find the correct version on YouTube is a terrible experience. It doesn't work. So again, Spotify's got the advantage there. I also think the branding sucks, but I guess that's more of a personal thing. It's better than YouTube Red. YouTube Red, as someone correctly pointed out, I think above me, just made everyone think of RedTube. So, that was probably a good move. But yeah, overall, like, how polished are they going to be? Like, they don't specialize in that area. It just seems like another attempted money grab to try and find a way of making YouTube profitable. And again, like, I'm not a hater of YouTube. YouTube is a great thing, but realistically, I don't think it's ever going to be something that's profitable for Google. Not to the extent that they need it to be, certainly. At best, it could maybe be a break-even service with some sort of freemium model like this. But it's just, it's just like, I don't understand why someone would want to use a video upload website that is public, where anyone can add content to it for their music, instead of a service that is dedicated to music and has quality controls and has people working in the industry and all of the publishers of music on board. I don't understand at all. And I don't understand why anyone with, with a brain would choose to use that over something like Spotify. So that's my opinion on that. Spotify overall, I mean, they've cornered the market, really. You look at the offering, Microsoft used to have Xbox Music, which turned into Groove Music, which turned back into something else, and then they gave up on that, and they referred their users, because I was one of them, to Spotify. Um, if you look at even Amazon's offering, it's just nowhere near as polished, nowhere near as good. The algorithms aren't as good for recommending new music. The playlists aren't as good that are curated. Sharing your stuff on there is more difficult. And let's also not forget that Spotify is coming out with its own hardware soon, and I think that will do surprisingly well. It's pretty like it's. I think it's still not really that well known about the hardware that Spotify are working on, but they're working on like little portable speakers and things like that, and like portable speakers that go in your car effectively instead of your radio, with like really nice tactile physical controls, voice assistant, that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty confident that it would work. I think anyone who has a car who currently listens to Spotify on their phone would quite happily buy a little £20 thing to put in their car and listen to Spotify on. So there you go. That's my opinion on Spotify. I'm pretty bullish. Ah, God, that was a really long answer. I'm like out of breath. There's been loads of chat that I've just been ignoring. I think a lot of younger people only listen to music via vids on YouTube. Yes, but the important thing about that is that those people who are listening to it on YouTube are doing so because it is free and because they already use YouTube. Realistically, when you get to the point where you have disposable income to spend on music, almost certainly you will go and join the Apple's music offering, or you'll go and join Spotify, or you'll go and join Amazon. I don't think very many people will join YouTube for it. I really don't. Uh, Are they likely to have a Gmail account or a Spotify account? Again, like they're in the Google ecosystem, yes, but I'm looking at like the amount of content available and the quality of the content and the quality of the algorithm for recommending new stuff and where their friends are. And pretty much anyone who really likes music is not going to be using this. And I think people will look to where their friends who are into music go. I think there is an argument to be made that maybe some of the really young people that are really embedded in YouTube and follow a lot of vloggers and YouTube stars, possibly they will buy the premium version and then use the music feature because they get it for free thrown in. But even then, I think it's a stretch. I think the biggest problem for me is the pricing. Like if we come back over here, like this price here is just too high. If that was like $6.99, then I think it would have potential and it would be a threat to Spotify to a certain extent, as long as they continue to work on it and develop it. But realistically, you look at the shambles of how YouTube have managed their website for the past few years, and everything that has been going on, the community backlash, the problems with advertisers, the problems with some of the big people they promote, like PewDiePie and stuff, being racist, and the forest in Japan where someone filmed, someone who had killed themselves, and how badly they look after content, how badly they look after the community, how badly they failed with YouTube Red with YouTube specific content, and how the YouTubers are actually going out and monetizing themselves using things like Patreon instead of YouTube services. I just don't see them getting music right. I'm sorry, but I just don't see them getting it right. It'll be like Amazon. Some people will use it because they've bought the bigger version, the bigger package, but no one's going to go out and actually specifically buy this thing. I just extended that answer, didn't I? Totally extended that answer. Would you say the overlooming cloud of the tech bear market is clearing for the near future? I mean, I think actually, if you look at, you're talking about tech stocks, I think really what caused that bear market is the same thing that caused that markets pretty much everywhere to dip, which is the political situation with North Korea and things like that. And I think that there is still definitely a threat there. Like as much as the sentiment that we're starting to see from North Korea is really good, and some of the other situations going on around the world, I think there's still plenty of opportunities for politics to go wrong and for the bear market to return. I also strongly believe that there are a lot of traders who feel that things are inflated and they are on edge. I know that I am still pretty on edge. I have some shorts open on major indices still, and I'm scared to close them, even though they're sitting at like 30% loss on some of them. I am scared to close them because I think that it will happen, and when it does happen, I want to make sure that I'm making some money on the way down that I can take out and then use to rebuy, ready for the way back up. Uh, it's Yeah, I don't think the threat has gone away. Again, like just look at market cycles, normally 10 years or so before major corrections. We've come a long way since the last one in 2008, 2009. There's a lot of things that are pretty fragile. Bond markets, the effect cryptocurrencies are likely to have over the next 5 years or so on other currencies. Um, the effects of things like Brexit and the Catalonia stuff in Spain. There's a lot of different things that could act as a catalyst for this. Even housing markets and stuff like that in the UK. I'm not sure about America. I haven't really checked too much. I think Canada's quite bad for housing markets. There's a lot of different things that could act as a catalyst for a market correction, and I think you've always got to be somewhat vigilant and on the lookout for it. Lidstorm, I know you hate Ripple, but would you better buy Ripple or XLP long term for 2 to 3 years? Um, it's a good question. I would. This is a really bad answer, and it's not the answer you want, but I'd actually probably buy a bit of both. I would, more importantly, if you really are looking at 2 to 3 years, I would buy Bitcoin. 100%, I would buy Bitcoin. I would buy Bitcoin, a little bit of Ethereum, a little bit of EOS, a little bit of IOTA, a little bit of Monero, and a tiny amount of Ripple and XLM. Bitcoin is by far the safest bet for long term, by far. Do not underestimate the power that Lightning Network has within it. And let's not forget some of the developments that have happened recently with RSK, which I thought was a dead project. I last remember listening to a podcast about RSK smart contracts on Bitcoin's blockchain back in 2013, 2014. A long time ago, and I haven't heard anything since, and all of a sudden I'm hearing about it again. So, pretty crazy stuff. Really validates people like Jimmy Song a little bit. eToro is planning to expand to the US from a crypto reputation. I think they are doing well. Do you think we might hit new high once it's fully launched? I don't think eToro is going to be big enough, especially in the US, to really affect the markets that much. It's definitely good news for US consumers. Very good news. I mean, I was really hoping to see eToro offer out stocks as well, but I guess legally, I imagine launching something like that in America is pretty difficult. I figured that's why they were moving away from CFDs. So I had my suspicions that they would be doing something like this, but I really thought that it would be for everything, not just crypto. They've said that they want to launch a crypto-specific exchange potentially, so that could be very interesting. And of course, they said that they're launching a wallet. So if they launch a crypto-specific exchange. That could be something really, really interesting. I wonder if they'd have a situation similar to Coinbase and GDAX, where they have lower spreads and lower fees for using the dedicated exchange. In which case, what does that mean for people like me? Where do I trade on eToro? Can I trade on the exchange, and can people still copy me there, or is it more a case of that's where you go if you want to do it manually? Because I would find it very frustrating if they have low fees there, but I can't trade there because people can't copy me there, and I have to stick with the higher spreads. Not that I think the spreads are terrible, but they are bad, I think. Yeah, but I'm excited. Rolling out wallets within like 2 weeks. That's pretty crazy. I am a premium platinum user, so I guess that means that I should be first in line to get access to the wallet. I reckon they might exclude me because maybe they're scared that I'll criticize it or break it or something. I don't know. But I am excited to see exactly what they're building and how it works. If they give us access to things like private keys, if they're going to build in some sort of a vault system similar to what Coinbase has, all these kind of things. I'm very interested to see how it turns out. There's loads of chat. I'm trying to ignore some of the questions a little bit. If you're gonna ask a question, can you please use the form? Jesse has been kindly putting some of them in manually, but if you type !Q, then you get a link to the form, and that's the best place to ask a question because it guarantees that I will actually answer it and not miss it. And I want to go in order because it's unfair on the people that do use it if your question's not on there. Just making sure I didn't miss any comments related to what I was just talking about. Okay. So, can you review Stellar? I was going down even more than the others these 2 weeks. What are your predictions for the nearly future? Again, as I said before, when the crypto market goes down, Bitcoin will generally go down by the least, and altcoins will generally go down by the most. And the lower the cap is, the more it seems to be affected, and the lower the unit price. So it's not too surprising to see Stellar suffering on that front. But again, like if you look at its progress on CoinLib and its gradual climb up into the top 8 now on CoinMarketCap, and it's not too far behind Cardano and Litecoin as well. I think you can see that they're making some good progress. There are more competitors coming, of course. You've got things like VeChain and Tron, which is also launching at the end of this month. A few other projects, Icon, for example. So you've still got more rivals that are going to be pushing their way up into this top 10 area. But it certainly shows that there are a lot of people that are pretty confident in it for it still to be holding on this much. And again, like you look at the percentages, and yes, it's high, but generally the further down you go, the more volatile they become. Because again, like you look at the top and you've got like pretty much everything in the top 5 is like less than 2% except for Bitcoin Cash, which is junk anyway. And you scroll further down, it's all like 4%, 5%, 10% down here, 7%, 4%, 4%. You also got a few that are on the up as well, but that's generally the way it goes with altcoins. It is junk. I slid that in there. Price prediction for EOS day before June 1st. Probably somewhere similar to where it is now, between like $12 and $15, I think. I don't think it's going to go up massively before then, unless the market goes up. It's going to follow the market up until the launch now, I think. I thought it had another move left in it, but apparently not. So we'll see. But I think after the launch is when you'll start seeing EOS rally up again. Views on Amazon. So I'm actually reasonably bearish on Amazon since their last earnings call. I don't think I have any positions in them anymore. Pretty sure I closed them all. Yep, I did. I closed them all like at least a week or so ago. I'll scroll down quickly just to see if I can find it. Man, that was a while ago. Oh, that reminds me, I need to check Snapchat. Hold on, I'm going to check Snapchat because I'm still looking for that to make a bounce so I can start shorting again. Still not bouncing. Come on, go up a bit so I can short you more. Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, no, I don't have any Amazon, and the reason I don't have any Amazon is that I'm bearish on it. I think the extra services that really kind of lured me in there into Amazon, the things that really made me think, "Oh, this is becoming a giant that is unstoppable." They've kind of just like sort of forgotten about and not done anything with. And my examples are Amazon Fresh and the Amazon grocery stuff, and Prime Now and things. They've kind of stagnated a bit. It doesn't seem like they're making any more progress with it. They're putting up the price of Amazon Prime in America, which means it's inevitably going to come to the UK and probably a few other regions as well where they're big. And they haven't improved anything. So why? It's just a bit of a cash grab, bit cheeky. Their music service, again, they haven't done anything to it. It's exactly the same as when it, a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, whereas Spotify is evolving and, they've added podcasts and things like that more recently. Same with video. Prime Video is absolutely terrible now. When they launched, they had amazing shows like High Castle or whatever it's called, Man on High Castle. I can't remember, something like that. Mr. Robot, the Top Gear replacement show. But again, since then, have they done anything original content wise? Are they really trying to compete with Netflix, or have they just become complacent? And the answer is they've become massively complacent. They're going to start losing some of the content they have access to, I think, because we're already seeing companies like Sony and HBO and Fox, which is now part of Disney, going off and creating their own services. So they're going to start losing that content that they don't own themselves and don't produce themselves. And at that point, what are you left with? Not much. You go on there these days, you have to rent or buy most of the stuff that you want to watch instead of getting it included in the subscription that you're paying. Even outside of that, you go and look at things like AWS, Amazon Web Services, and again, they're under threat. You see, Microsoft Azure is like innovating massively and pushing really, really, really hard. Same with Alibaba. Both of them are growing at a crazy rate. Google as well. So Amazon, it just feels like they're not doing much. Now, I don't know as much about AWS as other people, but from what I see, Microsoft are the ones that are pushing hardest there and making the most inroads and really, growing and gaining ground the most. So I look at Amazon and I just kind of think that it feels a bit like they're sort of maybe they've bitten off more than they can chew, trying to do too many things at once. Even again, like going back to streaming, like you've got Facebook that are buying rights to sports, you've got Twitter that are buying rights to sports live streaming. It feels like their live streaming service is dying, their music service is dying. And at that point, how worthwhile is Amazon Prime? Like Twitch Prime again. Like most people are trying to do the donations in other ways now because it just doesn't feel like it has that much. Speaking of Twitch Prime, thanks for the subscription, Fisherman Suplex. That was a really nice little little segue there. Yeah, Fisherman Suplex, pretty crazy. But like that's the thing. Like it feels like there isn't that much substance to Amazon Prime anymore, and I think that was one of the key things for locking people into their ecosystem. I think it was a really, really good idea when they came out with it. Again, like Amazon Logistics, they're just doing so much, and it feels to me like they're doing all of them to a mediocre or poor level at this point, and they're not really improving their core service for customers. And yet they're putting their prices up. I'm slightly bearish on it. Not massively bearish. I think it will still do fine. It will probably still go up in value a bit and still grow a bit. But mainly just because there's more people going on the internet and there's more people buying things and people are buying more stuff because the market, the economic situation in their countries isn't as bad as it was 10 years ago, for example. But overall, there's definitely better growth options out there like Netflix, Disney, etc. Now that I'm a subscriber, what do you think of Strax? What's Strax? What? Look at my star, people. Is a pretty solid star. That's a good star. Look at that. Crazy. Solid star. I don't know what that is. Jesse's given me a link though. Oh, dangerous. Danger. Oh no. This is what happened. Every time this happens, someone links a cryptocurrency, I go on their website, I shit all over it. That's a really cool looking background though. Although it's a bit blurry. Like, I need to focus a bit better. Okay. I'll do a very quick look at what it is. Okay, it's got a 4 megabyte block size. It's got SegWit. 60-second block time. I'm not convinced. Uh, 133 transactions per second. I'm not at all convinced by it. ASIC resistant mining algorithm. It's just another shitcoin for mining. Why is anyone using mining anymore? Zerocoin protocol, that's kind of cool. I'm a fan of Zerocoin. No ZK snarks. What does this mean? Is Bitcoin not decentralized? It's pretty decentralized. Dash is partial decentralized. Dash is more decentralized than Bitcoin? Question mark. Dash only has 2 mining pools that control majority, whereas Bitcoin has, I think, 5. Is this just trying to become another currency? Is that what this is? I should read the chat because you're probably describing it somewhere. What time do I call this? I call this dinner time. Oh dear. Define all in. I almost did one of those classic spit out your drink moments there. And that wasn't fake. He's not happy about my statement. Oh, it just looks like shit though, doesn't it? Come on, we're all thinking it. We're all thinking it, aren't we? Like, it's not. If it's got block times of a minute, cool. EOS has got half-second block times. You know. No chargeback or fraud. Cool. Welcome to every other cryptocurrency. Wow, what a great feature. Reach new audiences. How? Where's the proof? I don't believe them. I think they made that up. Low transaction fees. Cool. Try Nano. Free integration. What? I'm sorry, but I feel really bad. But I mean, I would sell it. I've not really looked at it very much. Why does the roadmap keep taking me to this? What is this? Your roadmap? It's Android Wallet in Q2 voting. Market. No, this is bad. I'm really sorry, but I think this is really quite poor. We're doing it. We're looking at how many Twitter followers they've got. I've almost got as many followers as them. But they've added Vertcoin and Zcash. I've noticed they haven't compared themselves with Nano. It's not that what they're building is bad. It's that what they're building isn't enough of a jump. That's the thing. It's not enough of a jump. Why would anyone switch from this to this? Or this to this? You know, or this to this? Why would anyone do that? They don't have ZK snarks. They haven't got privacy. So like trying to claim that they're better than Dash and Zcash, that's out the window. Or Monero, that's just out of the window. You're not as good because you're not private. So those users don't care. Like that's just a straight up thing. Unless I've missed something. Again, like this is just me reacting to what I've seen. I haven't like dug into this clearly. In terms of like adoption, you're never going to compete with Bitcoin. Absolutely never. Bitcoin Cash is a shitcoin, so no one cares. Vertcoin is, I mean, realistically, it's a bit of a shitcoin, so no one cares. So far, what they've done is they've compared to themselves to some good privacy coins and Bitcoin, and in my opinion, lost. Like they're ASIC resistant. Cool. No one fucking cares anymore. I'm afraid. The only people who care about that are fucking miners, which is the only reason this has been created, because they want to mine it, guaranteed. Segwit Forex, they put that in like it's a big thing. Yeah, Bitcoin doesn't have it because it doesn't need it. I'm sorry. What? How? Please, someone tell me how many megabytes of every block are being used in Bitcoin Cash right now. Someone go out there and tell me. I'll tell you how many. Less than 1. So why do you need bigger blocks? No. I'm sorry, but you should. I think my suggestion, not financial advice, but my opinion on this matter is that if I were you, I would not put any money into this because I don't think it'll be around very long. Also, it's like not on any good exchanges yet. HitBTC is primarily known for pump and dumps. Dare I go into their Discord? Oh, I don't know if I dare. I feel really bad. I feel really bad. I always do this. I knew it would happen as soon as you linked me to a fucking cryptocurrency that I've not heard of. I'm like, well, this is going to be shit. And I went on there, and it's basically shit. What markets is it on? Who are these people? Have you heard of any of them? Fucking hell! I do more volume in my own wallet. Jesus Christ. Oh God, I'm. You've set me off. You've set me off. I feel terrible. I feel absolutely horrific. I feel like you shouldn't have subscribed to me. You shouldn't have subscribed. It was a waste of money. I should give you a refund. Look on the bright side. At least it wasn't your money. It was your friend's money. So, sucks for him. Refund him in stacks. Hey, if I were to refund him in stacks, I would increase the exchange volume by 100%. Because apparently $155 was traded in the last 24 hours. $15,000. Wow. Oh, God. Oh, why is your friend investing in this? I need to know now. Like, what did he think was good about it? Did he just look at their chart and be like, that's got a lot of green ticks on it, hasn't it? Got loads of green ticks. Must be better. You got to look at what the green ticks are for. They're inventing things they're better at. The things they're better at are things that nobody wants. Mm-hmm. Oh God, this is gonna get clipped to shit. Oh, hi Tass. Tassadar's gonna weigh in on the subject. Oh, let's see what he thinks. It's a shitcoin. I hate it. There you go. Words from the cat's mouth. Sorry, Tass. It's just manhandled the cat to make a point. Even before I get scratched to death, yeah, that would almost certainly happen. Oh, I can't get over it. But I'm basically in a state of pure shock. Oh, let's have a look at their Reddit. This is so much fun. I should just do this every week. I Kind, how many subs have they got? 19 people online. 320. Wow, that's big. That is big. Well, they've got to force it. We've gone back to the year 2011, and people were giving out cryptocurrencies through faucets. Do you have to solve a captcha? Is that how it works? Oh god, that was just. I don't even know what to say anymore. I can't move on. I can't move on from that. How do you move on? You can't segue from that. God, I feel so bad. I keep saying, "Oh, I feel terrible," but it's shit. It's total shit. Your friend must be so sad. Tell him on the bright side that it was very entertaining for the rest of us, and we all appreciate that. And his failure is everyone else's warning. You did kill the stream. That's absolutely ruined it. God, why did you do that? Just terrible. Just terrible. What a terrible cryptocurrency. God, it reminds me of the cryptocurrencies that were coming out like 4 or 5 years ago, in like 2013, when everyone just made Bitcoin and changed one thing. It's Bitcoin, but it's got a 4 megabyte block. It's Bitcoin, but it's got 30-second block times. It's Bitcoin, but it's got a purple logo. Oh god. Okay. Okay. Moving on. Let's look at other questions. Amazon announced that Prime members will now get more discounts from Whole Foods. Ooh, that's exciting. They have increased Prime deliveries daily rate by 50%, so I think there is a bigger picture. Yeah, I mean, they're working on the logistics stuff. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's also, it's, as I said, like, it's not that I think that they're not going to continue to do well. Like, they will grow, but I think their growth is slowing. And I think that they're trying to do too many things at once and not doing them as well as their competitors. And if you're looking at it purely from an investment point of view, then there's better stuff out there to invest in and more exciting stuff. I don't know about you, but a discount on Whole Foods isn't something that really gets me up in the morning. I'm sure it does someone at Amazon maybe, but it's not all that exciting, and I just and let's not forget that I'm someone that kind of takes social responsibility somewhat seriously. At least I like to think. And Amazon's always been something that I felt a bit uncomfortable investing in, just because of how they treat a lot of their staff, and how I think it's massively detrimental to the planet to have one company be as big as them. And I know you can apply that logic to Microsoft and to Google and stuff, but I think that Amazon are the ones that are really hurting people the most. So. You are the only one with a star. If you're not in my Discord yet, you should join it, because you get a special color in my Discord as well. And then you can go tell everyone in Discord about your special color. Yeah, you get a special color. It might take like a little bit of time to update, but you get a special color. You get purple, I think, for Twitch. Purple for Twitch. What do you think of EO Trade? ICO advertisements all over the place. EO Trade looks like total fucking shit. Jesse was at my PC yesterday when an ad came on for it, and I was just like, look at me, I'm doing a deep voice. 4 trading platforms in one. Jesus Christ, PC. PC's like, hey, do you want to restart now? Not particularly, no. Remind me later. Thanks. Thanks, PC. Yeah, no, EO Trade, total fucking shit. Do not go in on that. Same goes for the other one that's being advertised loads at the moment. What is it? XYO, whatever it's called. I haven't looked at that one as much, and it doesn't seem like it's quite. No, that's a lie. It's definitely as shady. Their advertisements are total junk. Generally, if a cryptocurrency is advertising on YouTube, probably a shitcoin. Rule of thumb, or advertising anywhere, apart from like word of mouth. If you don't hear about it from someone smart, then and that you trust, then you shouldn't be taking it seriously, I don't think. I know you're into motorsport. What car do you currently drive / your car history? Well, now this is prepare for a long answer. I can't drive. I haven't passed my driving test. In fact, I haven't even taken it. I do like cars though, and motorsport. If I could have had cars over the years, I reckon. And let's just say that my maximum budget was my salary for a year. Then I would have bought like a second-hand Nissan Skyline R34 as a first car because fuck yeah. Then I would have upgraded to an Ariel Atom, like the first version, which is not as good, but was a lot cheaper and more affordable. So I would have got one of those. Probably not new. It might have had to be new because there weren't very many back then. And then I would have upgraded. So I've always really liked Chevrolet step sides from like 1950, 1960 in America. Like the short bed ones. Oh, just look so cool. I really want to get one and make it electric. Is that weird? Probably. That's pretty fucking weird. They just look so nice. They look so nice. Like when you find a like cool rusty like matte black one or whatever. Oh, gorgeous cars. They just look so nice. They're probably absolute shit to drive, but it looks amazing. I don't like very many classic cars, but I like them. What else do I like car-wise? Obviously, I like Teslas. I have ordered a Model 3, even though I can't drive, so you should probably know that about me. Other cars I really like. I've used to fucking love the Zonda. Oh my god, the Zonda! What a car! Crazy. Massive like those like that back of that car was like a fucking small bus. It's like they took a bus and just like made that into a wing. Mental. What else do I like? I mean, like I like some of the Lambos and stuff. I'm not a big fan of Ferrari. Not a big fan of Porsche, really. What else do I like? I like Fiat 500s, like Fiat Abarth 500s. Oh, love those. I think that's about it. So, yeah, I like those cars. that was a weird answer, wasn't it? Thanks for the question to whoever asked it. Don Sphinx, whatever. Don Sphin XX. Thanks for the question. Fiat 500s, cool little car. Fiat 500s are so cool. I'm sorry, they're the new minis. Adam, like we're gonna have a falling out, okay? Don't be hating on my car choices. Your thoughts on Icon ICX? In my opinion, is very undervalued at the moment, and I believe it will be huge this year. I first looked at Icon and I didn't like it, but I keep hearing smart people say it's good, so I need to go and look at it again because I only really did surface level, like my usual bullshittery of picking something out and being like, "Oh, that looks like crap. It's just this, but not quite as good, or this, but with one extra thing." But apparently, it is actually quite good, so I need to have a look at it. Still, I'm willing to really voice an opinion on it at the moment. I think I need to look at it. Like I need to look at everything every time I stream because you guys between you do a lot more research than I do because I am one person plus Jesse. And Jesse mainly spends his time laughing at them and telling me that capitalism is a joke and that we should all be hung for our crimes. Whoa. Sometimes I watch other people play Clash Royale when we're playing in Clan Wars. Pretty good at Clash Royale, by the way, so that's a game you play. Hit me up. Play some 1v1s. Ooh. You know what? I do like that Citroen. Why wouldn't I? Don't you? That's a beautiful little car. That's so cool. I like stupid things. I do. I like stupid little cars that don't work and are impractical, but are like they're old and rubbish. But I like them because they look nice and they're like charming. I don't. Yeah, sussed indeed. You got me figured out. Man, what a crazy little change of subject. Let's have a look. Okay, I know Whole Foods doesn't excite you, but from an investment perspective, Amazon or Alibaba? Alibaba recently said their vision is 4-hour delivery in China. They did. I think Alibaba has got more upside than Amazon does, personally. That being said, I've actually turned slightly bearish on them as well. So you'll see if in my portfolio over here that I only have 2 positions left. This one is a pretty old one. This one was more recent. It was me just buying in before their earnings, I think. Can't remember. It clearly didn't go very well. But yeah, I'm again like I just kind of think that those companies are approaching the limits of their scale, and yes, they can still improve their offerings and like make their services better and charge a bit more money for it. But I think the real money is in just growing a user base, and I think they've kind of done that the same as Amazon has. And that like Amazon, they are seeing competition in other areas. Alibaba less so though. Alibaba are a lot less. Like you've got Baidu competing in some areas and Tencent in other areas, but for the most part, I think Alibaba has got a stronger monopoly in its part of the world than Amazon does. So, I mean, there's that. And I think Alibaba's cloud stuff is good because if you're in China, that's your only option really. So Bitcoin price in the next few months. I answered this earlier, so I know it's a bit of a cop out, but because I've got other questions, so I might come back to it. But I would suggest watching the rerun of this stream, and it's somewhere near the start. It's one of the first questions I answered. So maybe do that afterwards. If I don't answer it, I might come back to it and answer it if I have less questions as we get further along. Let's go back on my portfolio quickly. Just want to kind of keep track of things. Spotify, bullish. Shopify, bullish. Twitter, bullish. Square, bullish. What are the ones that I'm still bearish on that I want to get out of? I'm still weirdly bullish on Sony. I think I'm like the only person in the world that is, but I just kind of think that they've hit a sweet spot on their products recently. Their products are good. They just need to consolidate. They need to consolidate and like make everything work together. And they've started doing that. And then they need to like save money on production. The problem with the Sony, they make a lot of stuff, an awful lot of stuff, like TVs, phones, cameras. I don't know, probably fridges. They make a lot of things, like computer equipment, audio equipment, like keyboards, lots of stuff that they do. But I think that recently, like across the board, their products just seem well designed and well thought out. And I think if they can just come, I'm betting on them coming up with something to just tie everything together and create their own ecosystem at last. Like, don't forget the music and everything else that they have to their name. Like, if Sony came out with a streaming platform or like a Sony Prime, that might be quite interesting. I think because they just make so many things, and I think I think there's a lot of people that maybe don't use all of those things, but would be interested in some of them. I don't know. I see potential in Sony, and I can't put my finger on it, but I just see a bit of potential in them. I know that was a total tangent. No one asked me about Sony. I felt like talking about it. What do I think of Ripple? I'll cover that in a minute. Add it to the questions. Put exclamation mark Q, and then put it in the form, and I will answer it. Jesse's done it for you. Jesse has put it in for you. What's your view on commodities trading? I remember you talking about one of your oil sell orders a while back, and there's some nice intraday volatility and long-term bullish trend at the moment. Is it something you consider getting back into? Maybe. I've still got actually a couple of shorts open. I think at the moment, like if you look at what's going on in the world of oil, the reason we've had this big rally is because like OPEC killed off most of their competition, so they were able to just like start splurging the market with loads of oil again, and you know pushing or not doing that even, not splurging the market with oil, which is what they were doing to push prices down. So they've kind of reined it in a bit. Prices have started to go up a bit, so that started it. And then after that, you had the escalation of situations in Syria and Iran, and the Middle East in general. Of course, the Russian tensions as well can't be like discounted, and what's been going on there. But I think the bull market's. I don't know if it's coming to a close quite yet, but it definitely feels like it's starting to slow, and we're getting nearer the top. So I think going bullish now is quite risky. In hindsight, like I remember looking at like the potential for things to happen in Syria and Iraq and Iran and the Middle East generally. Maybe 6 months ago or so, and thinking that there was a good chance of oil going up, but I didn't trade on it. And in fact, I kept all of my shorts open. I didn't even stop my trades on it. But I don't know. I don't think it can go that much further. Like, where do you think it's going? $100 a barrel? I don't think it's going to get that high. Like, we've done peak oil. So you know, supply is slowing down, but so is usage. Like, in obviously it's still going up around the world, but a lot of the things that oil was used for and coal was used for and things like that is starting to move into renewable energy. It's starting to make a dent, I think, and like the acceleration in renewables over the past 2 years has been phenomenal. And I think if it continues like that, which it's predicted to, effectively like an exponential growth curve, which will probably end up like a typical hockey stick, you know, S curve moment of adoption. Um, I think I think that'll slow it down, and I think it should begin reversing within the next 2 to 3 years, long term. But I think that it's likely to kind of level off for the next 1 to 2 years. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth trading. Yes, there is some volatility on like a daily kind of side, but I'm kind of content not trading at the moment. I don't see a big reason to. I'm going to hold on to my shorts for a really long time, and people who don't have those positions will be really annoyed, and people who have those positions will also be really annoyed. But I'm going to hold on to them anyway because I'm confident, and we're still earning our little refunds. So they are little though. Making $11 on those two trades while losing 110, 120. It's not great, but that's just kind of the way I feel. Yeah, like I get what you're saying. Like, obviously, oil is still going to be necessary for a lot of things for a long time. But I think people are underestimating how much of it will be replaced, and even just the public opinion has started to play its role. So if you look at companies like Shell, for example, which obviously is a massive oil company, and you go on their website, everything on there is talking about green energy. And in fact, a lot of the shareholders in these companies have forced these companies to start looking at green energy and start diversifying what they do as a company, because they see oil becoming a problem for investors, and banks do not want to invest in fossil fuel companies, and big institutional investors and retail investors, which is probably why the institutions don't want to, thinking about it. But there was something I read recently that was talking about this, and it gave an example. I can't remember what company it was, but there was a company that literally had that situation. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. In terms of leverage, actually, leverage. So the leverage increases the refunds in this instance. So I'm not paying anything. In fact, if I use more leverage, I get more refunds. Which is weird and crazy, and I honestly don't really understand why, but that's how it is. Yeah. So that's how it is. I mean, in hindsight, would I have kept 2 positions in here? Probably not. But I feel like now's a bad time to close them. Maybe if it drops that back down to like the mid 60s, then I might close one of these possibly, just to free up some funds, because I don't think I should have that much exposure to it, because it's a bit of a long shot, really. But yeah. Of course, you, sir, win a cookie. You win a cookie. More questions. More questions. Is Baidu Oh, I was going to say. That wasn't capitalized. Is the Baidu COO leaving that bad for share? Took 10% off. I haven't followed Baidu since I last invested in them, which was, when was that? That would have been like Q2, Q3 last year. Was the last time I was really trading them, so I haven't paid too much attention to them since then. Honestly, I mean, probably not. It probably shouldn't warrant that. It's probably a good opportunity to buy in. You've also really got to understand the reasons why he's going, and like who's likely to replace him, and speculate based off of that. But honestly, no, I don't think it is a good reason for it to drop that much. I haven't checked their earnings report. Or is their earnings report tonight? It's either yesterday or today. I can't remember. Again, I haven't checked it because I'm not trading them, not planning to. But it's something worth looking at, I think, in conjunction with their earnings, because if their earnings are still good, and the business model is still good, and they're doing lots of cool stuff, I don't think it matters that much. I think there's an awful lot of in some companies it makes a lot of sense, right, to really care about who's in charge. For example, Nvidia and AMD, right? In Nvidia, you have Jensen Huang, who has spent his entire career in graphics cards, and he understands the tech, and he's a good motivator, a good speaker, and he's just got he understands that fucking market really, really well. And then you look at someone like Tesla, for example, where you have Elon Musk, and Elon Musk, love him or hate him, but I love him. Jesse hates him. He is someone that has absolutely fanatic fans, and you always have to really consider with someone like Elon leaving Tesla, which people have suggested recently. You've got to consider how would that affect shareholders, right? Because as we even saw on the earnings call, Tesla is a company that has a lot of retail investors, and a lot of people buy Tesla cars because it is Elon. If someone from Volkswagen Group or from Ford or whatever came in and became the CEO, would there be the same excitement around it? Would there be the same vision in the company? Absolutely not. And without that, investors will be much more fearful. Much more fearful. People buy into it because it's Elon. And there are some companies that are like that, and there are some companies that aren't. But generally speaking, COOs, no one really remembers for the most part. No one really cares that much about COOs. CTOs, I would say, people care about a decent amount, especially in tech companies, obviously. And CEOs, and some COOs, like from Google and a few other companies like that. But for the most part, I don't think it matters. So it could be a good trading opportunity, but do your own research, have a look at their earnings report, see what else is going on in the company, and make up your own mind. Generally speaking, markets tend to overreact to that kind of thing, I think, though. What do you think of Ocado? Isn't that like a food delivery service? Who asked that? Who asked that? Mr. PWB 2018. Meh is what I think of it. I don't know enough about it, to be honest, to really give a useful opinion. I'm sorry you've waited this long for an answer. Yeah. Next question. Do you reckon there will be a financial crisis within the next 12 to 36 months? Currently, since 1970, there has been a crisis every 14th year, and we're currently on the 11th. I alluded to this earlier, but I think yes. I think yes, there will. It's hard to call what it's going to be. Like, so many people seem to think it's going to be the Eurozone. I don't think it will be the Eurozone. I think it's probably going to be led by blockchain and automation in general. And I think maybe Japan could be one of the countries that's likely to really suffer from it. There's also the housing bubble and stock bubble in China specifically, which has been pretty concerning to a lot of people for the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Pretty much since our economy started to grow at breakneck speed, really. 12 to 36 months. Yeah, I think that's pretty likely. I would say it's even possible to happen this year. I think now that we've seen like North Korea situation kind of resolve itself, and broadly like most companies just not caring about Brexit, and the inaction of Brexit and the effect that's had. I think we're probably good for at least another year. But as I said earlier, it's wobbly ground, and you've basically just got to be on point at this point and looking like continually at the news to see what's going on. But when it happens, it'll be quick. So, yeah, be careful. I would say cryptocurrencies. Many people think that maybe cryptocurrencies will be one of the things that suffers the worst. I totally disagree. I think shitcoins will suffer really bad, but I think something like Bitcoin is like safe investment. I think genuinely I do, and maybe I'll get proven wrong, and maybe I'll feel like complete shit when that happens. But hey. Let's talk Ripple. Also, what do you think of Ripple? Is the show over? Will it regain some of its potential if more banks go along with it? If you haven't done so, go and listen to the Unchained podcast episode from just over a week ago, I think, with Laura Shin. She had 2-Bit Idiot on the show and someone else whose name I've forgotten, Matthew something. He's like a journalist at Bloomberg that's done like quite a lot of investigation into Ripple. Go listen to that, and I really, really think that if you listen to that and you really understand what they're talking about in there, you will really, really reconsider if you are bullish on XRP for the long term, and reconsider what really the goals and the purposes of it are. They raise a lot of valid points in there. Investing entirely in blockbusters. Yeah, they raise a lot of valid points, and they're concerns that I've had for a very long time. And again, like the concerns that are raised in there are concerns that have been rolling around the crypto space for a long time. If you go on, I actually have the website open. If you go on this website, arewedecentralizedyet.com, which is created by Jackson Palmer, who's the person who created Dogecoin and has done lots of consultancy and different things within cryptocurrency. He's got a YouTube channel that's really good, so go and check it out if you haven't already. He made this little website basically to kind of show off how decentralized different projects are. And Ripple is pretty much the least decentralized of all of them. It is really centralized, and it used to be really centralized. But even outside of decentralization, because they are decentralizing and they have been getting slightly better at some parts of it, even if you take that out of the equation and you just kind of look at their business model, it doesn't make sense. It's really, really very odd, and they are purposely. I think I agree with what they said in the podcast, and I have done for a long time, which is that I think that they are purposely marketing it towards retail investors, who think that they're getting like a leg up on the banks and they're getting in before the banks do, when in reality the banks just don't care that much. And the difference between some of their other products that don't utilize XRP and the ones that do use XRP is very, very slim. It's not even a dead cert that banks would ever move to it. You can quite easily compare the kind of gains that they get from using that system to something on the Lightning Network that was custom implemented by themselves, potentially being better, in fact. So there's a lot of question marks around XRP. I still don't like it. I still think that it's massively propped up by Ripple as a company who are holding a lot of the coins, and by retail investors who simply do not understand what they've invested in. And there are some who do, and there are people like XRP Trump on Twitter, and Schwartz, who's the CTO. I think it's the CTO, who will defend it to the moon and back. And it does have some good technology. I'm not denying that. But in reality, you've got to look at like the use case and how they're going about it and the strategy and what banks will do. And just ask yourself the question, are we likely to move into a world where all of the banks roll over and agree to let another company become a middleman for what they are doing? Another company becoming the central bank of effectively the planet. A company becoming a central bank for the planet. Do you think that is likely? I don't. I think maybe they'll get some support, maybe they'll get a few banks doing it, and maybe they will see some success. But really, that is a pretty bold plan, and it's just a plan that I don't want to see happen. So that's my opinion on XRP. I say it pretty often because I get asked it pretty often, because people continue, like, all the new traders, all the new copiers come in and they're like, why don't you trade XRP? And I'm like, well, but that's like, I guess, the summary of my position on XRP. I don't have a wallet on eToro yet, no. Or if I do, I haven't noticed where it is. Maybe they've hidden it. And you can see this is my eToro here, so if you see it, tell me. If you see it, shout. Yeah, I don't know where they put it. I imagine it would be like in here somewhere, maybe. But withdraw funds? No. Don't know. But I don't see it. Can I link it in chat? The podcast? Sure. I mean, I'm just Googling it because hosted by Laura Shen. Yeah, here you go. Pretty easy to find. Really good podcast. I mean, Unchained is a podcast series that I generally listen to. It's really good. I listen to a few others. So ICO Alert do some really good podcasts. They're actually pitching to be a block producer on EOS as well. So yeah, I like their podcasts. They do podcasts with different ICOs that are quite interesting. Some of them good, some of them bad. I tend to see through the shit ones pretty quickly. There's another one I listened to called The Third Web, which used to go by a different name, and I can't remember what that name was, but that's also really, really good. That's by a guy who used to work at Consensus, or Consensus, I should say, like Joe Lubin's Consensus, the one with a Y, not the one with a U, like the event that just happened. What other podcasts do I listen to? I used to listen to loads, and like they disappeared back in the day. There were some good ones, but I don't know what happened to them. Yeah, there's like podcasts is a great way to learn about crypto. Some very, very smart people. I listen to the Vergecast, but that's more just for general tech, not crypto related. I wish they did a crypto episode. That would be really cool. Yeah. Da 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 da. So I got a question about EOS, a question about Nvidia, and a question about Bill Gates going back to Microsoft. Where's the Bill Gates going? There it is. Would Bill Gates announcing his full-time return to Microsoft hurt or benefit the stock price? It would absolutely guaranteed hurt it. Bill Gates is now out of touch, I'm afraid. He is a nice person and he does lots of really good things for charity. He's like effectively made it his mission to like remove certain diseases and to just eradicate poverty and eradicate starvation, all sorts of different things, like the water straws and different projects that he's funded, entirely off his own back, and he spends a lot of time doing it as well, which is interesting. But if you look at him tech wise, I don't think he's as qualified as Nadella, unfortunately. And Nadella is someone that I wasn't a big fan of. I was actually a massive fan of Steve Ballmer at Microsoft. I really liked his vision, although it was a bit grand, I suppose, in hindsight. But Nadella came in and made some decisions very quickly that very quickly turned Microsoft around and helped them regain market share in various different markets. Even though it was at the expense of some of the others, I suppose, to a certain extent. But Nadella, I think, is really good, really good. So no, I would never want Bill Gates to take over from him. Maybe if he was taking over from someone else, possibly. But even then, like, I don't think he's interested in it anymore. To be honest, I don't think it interests him. Yeah. Let's see. Nvidia. What do you think about Nvidia and its move from a graphics company to something much bigger? Deep learning, etc. I think it's been inevitable. I think deep learning is kind of something a bit separate, but if you look at some of the other areas that they're working on, I mean, even the deep learning isn't to a point. If you look at the specifics of how they've ended up in that position, they've just stuck with graphics. It's just that graphics has changed, and you know, it was all about GPUs versus CPUs. And when GPUs first came around, everyone kind of laughed and said, "Oh, that's pointless." But Nvidia and AMD and the companies that were pioneering in that space stuck with it, and now CPUs are starting to run into problems scaling. We've seen, especially with Intel, the problems they've had trying to scale down further towards like 10 or 7 nanometer, and they are struggling big time. AMD's had slightly more success. Their 7 nanometer stuff is pretty much there now. But even then, like, you get to a point where there is a limit within physics on how far you can go with CPUs. And GPUs, while not immune to those same problems, do handle those problems in very different ways and have got a longer life cycle. And they have lended themselves better towards various different things. I mean, cryptocurrency mining is one example, but if you look at the deep learning stuff, NVIDIA found their way into that because of their ability to process images, and help AIs learn images and recognize this is a flower, this is a cat, this is a chair, this is a table, and it's just kind of grown from there. And again, like that very same technology that I just talked about is the same thing that's powering driverless cars. No, no, it's mine. I'm drinking it first. Can you hear it on the stream?
Yeah.
I always play with things with my other hand. I'll find something else.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's horrendous. Every time you crack that. Promise I'd take it away if you did.
Okay. There you go. I should probably move off this Unchained podcast screen. And back off of Bitcoin as well. Ooh, EOS is going up. Oh my god. I've lost my train of thought entirely now. What was it talking about? NVIDIA. Yeah, so the same technology that they developed for image recognition and stuff is effectively the same technology they're using in self-driving cars. So it's not really that they've moved away from graphics, it's just that graphics has evolved. And like as someone's just pointed out in the chat by mentioning quantum computers are also gonna be a thing soon. And that's going to fuck up everything. No one really knows how well those are going to scale and what the real potential of them is. I mean, there's a lot of people that are very scared about how it can affect encryption and things like that. Which is why you have platforms like IOTA, which are focused on the client doing the encryption, the cryptography. I guess it's encryption, doing the cryptography rather than like the miners or some party that's processing transactions and verifying things. The entire space is pretty interesting. It's definitely reaching it's getting difficult. It's getting very difficult. But of all the companies, I think Nvidia are the ones sandbagging the most. Like, there's a guy on YouTube called Adored TV, Scottish guy, very thick accent, knows his stuff about graphics, and he literally predicted about a year and a half ago now. He literally predicted the exact specs of the 1080 Ti, and the year before that, he predicted the 980 Ti, and he also predicted the Titan X specs as well. And he's done this purely by looking at the dies and looking at what they've got and saying, look, they're sandbagging, it's got more potential, they're not using this bit of the chip or whatever. And to me, like, it's pretty confusing, and I just about follow along with what he's saying. But yeah, he's a smart guy, and I trust him when he suggests that Nvidia are sandbagging massively. And it also just makes sense for them to sandbag. Like, look at the graphics card market right now, for example. Gamers haven't been able to buy a 1080 for the last 6 months. His name is Adored TV on YouTube. Gamers haven't been able to buy a graphics card for the past 6 months because all the miners are buying it. And now that the miners have stopped buying it, the price has started to drop a little bit because miners are focusing more on ASICs, and maybe miners are getting cold feet because prices are going down. But now the gamers have finally got around to buying it. It's just, all it's really done is extended the life cycle of that graphics card by 6 months for AMD and for Nvidia. So they're just sitting on the next version. The next version is done. It's ready. It's waiting. They've got it sat in their factories, I suspect, and they're just kind of fine tuning it and working on the next version, or the version after that, or the version after that. And with the way cryptocurrencies are going, probably they're going to be able to do that for some time, like a few years probably, before we eventually start moving away from proof of work in its current form, at least. So I think Nvidia especially has got a really solid looking future. To be honest, a really solid looking future. They know what they're doing. You look at the ray tracing technology stuff. Like, I spoke to Jesse about that when that first came out. And said, like, this is crazy. This is going to hit consumers within a year. And then in their last earnings call, they basically confirmed that. They said, yeah, we expect it to hit our new graphics cards by the end of this year, which is just insane. You know, you're talking about something hardware-wise that used to take up an entire room, and now with 3 or 4 of these graphics cards, you have that same power. Which is crazy, absolutely crazy. So yeah, they're doing a lot of really smart stuff, and it makes sense for them to try and diversify away from just hardware because they know what the limitations are. They know that they're going to have to evolve out of that and start moving into offering services and things. The same as AMD and Intel are probably aware. But unlike AMD and Intel, Nvidia have got a really clear path ahead of them of how they're going to do it. So yeah, I'm very bullish on Nvidia, even though I have more AMD at the moment. Oh, let's see. Follow up to the financial crisis question. Opinions on allocating a good chunk of portfolio into gold. Since everything there has been some insecurities, small circles of small crisis or crashes, gold price has always gone up. I think you should consider more than just gold. I think gold is always a good hedge. It's like the traditional hedge for those kind of events. But I mean, obviously, like silver and things like that as well. But I think you want to be looking a bit further out and looking at what else is available as well. I think cryptocurrencies is a good bet if you can find the right ones. There are some that are backed by gold. There are some that are backed by other different commodities. Land and things like that can potentially be good. It really depends on the form the financial crisis takes. But I would be looking to diversify, not just through gold, but through other things. I think Bitcoin is going to be a good hedge. I'm pretty confident, because the way I see it is the next financial crisis is likely to be one of the major currencies effectively going down the pan. And I think it's most likely to be the Chinese yuan or the Japanese yen. But it could be the British pound in theory. It's unlikely, but it could be. It could be the euro, again, pretty unlikely, and it could be the US dollar, which is also unlikely. But again, like, you look to the debt to GDP ratios of all of those currencies, and you know, you look at the maths and it doesn't add up, and it doesn't add up by more and more and more and more and more every time you look at it. And if you look at the countries that really suffered during the last financial crisis, like Portugal and Greece and Spain, we're approaching those kind of levels with a lot of things. Everyone thought Japan was going to collapse then, and somehow it hasn't. And the bond market there is just like some sort of a weird anomaly of economics, really, in some ways. Yeah. If it's the British pound, then it's time to pull a Soros. Yeah, I think the British pound is actually one of the least likely. But I don't know. It depends how Brexit goes. I think depends how Brexit goes. That's what will make or break it for the British pound case, and probably the European case as well. Yeah, no. To summarize the entire stream, everything that we've talked about, Nvidia, all of those different things, really it comes down to one key point, which is that your friend is a bit of an idiot, and I'm sorry. It's okay. You can learn. You need to be more like critical when you're looking at things to invest in. When you go and look for things to invest in, you shouldn't be saying, "Ooh, is this a good thing?" You should be saying, "Okay, what are the bad things? What are the reasons this is bad?" And then after you've done that, look at the reasons that it's good and put them side by side and say, "Okay, no, it's good," or "It's bad." And if he had done that with that last one, or even just really dug in just that little list that they had on there, where they have those little green ticks, and actually looked at those green ticks and said, are all of these little green ticks of equal weighting? Which of these are the most important? Like, Lightning Network's important, SegWit is important, but how important is a mining algorithm? Not that important, is the answer to that question. You think a no-deal Brexit will have a similar effect to June 2016 on the pound? Do I think a no-deal? I'll tell you what I do think. I think that we won't ever actually have a Brexit. It's not so much that it'll be like a no-deal Brexit and we have to go out and go it alone. I think that they will just continue to delay and extend the process forever, and we will continue to sit in this weird state of limbo, and essentially everything will stay the same but slightly worse than it was before. That's what I think. Oh, he just mined it. Oh, that's totally different. I mean, yeah, go nuts. Mine the shit out of it. Just sell it all afterwards. Just sell it all as you mine it. That's a smart thing. Look for shitcoins and mine them, yeah, because like there's loads of shitcoins that are really good for mining as a miner, but like investing, very different story. Keeping your money in it, very different story. As I said, that is a cryptocurrency that was built, that looked to me like it was just built for miners and didn't really serve a purpose. But yeah, I mean, my personal opinion on Brexit is that we shouldn't do it, and we should try and get back in as quickly as possible, to be honest. And I think it'll be better for everyone. But apparently, at least 50% of the country disagree. The thing that frustrates me the most with debates around Brexit are when people say that it's the will of the people and that we should just respect the decision to leave that was voted for and just do it. When in reality, that's not how politics works at all. Politics is the opposite of that. Politics is constantly changing your mind on things. Because otherwise, surely we would never have given women the vote, right? Because we made the decision once, so why would we ever revisit it and ever consider maybe changing our mind? And the same with every other decision. The people who make that argument drive me absolutely insane. I know it's not been a very long time to change your mind, but it is a pretty big decision, and the decision was very, very, very poorly phrased. Do you want to leave the EU? Yes or no? Well, which bits do you want to leave? That's what should have been asked. Do you want to reduce immigration? Do you want to stay in the single market? Do you want fishing rights to change? Do you want our bananas to be fucking squares? Who knows? I don't, because they didn't fucking ask anyone. So that's my opinion on that. That's my opinion on that. Oh, out of breath now. Yes, me too, actually, Rick. Me too. I also find it crazy that people are like, we've had enough of experts. What? I'm sorry, what? Okay, if you've had enough of experts, how about when you buy a house, you have to fucking build it, and you have to do the plumbing, and you have to do the electrics. You're not allowed to have someone that's qualified in those areas. You have to do it all yourself. How about when we build a fucking nuclear missile, you're in charge of it? Would you feel comfortable then? No, you'd probably ask for some fucking experts. Oh, it drives me fucking crazy. Like, just because economics and politics isn't a right or wrong argument as such, and that there are multiple views, and in certain situations some are better than others, and there is no like perfect solution probably, or if there is, it's really hard to find or define. Doesn't mean that experts don't know anything just because their opinions are different. It just means that the subject is more complex, meaning the experts are actually even more valuable, in my opinion. Yeah. Hard or soft? Yeah, we've got to give some people credit. Some people who voted for it knew exactly what they were voting for. But the problem is that even and some people are misled by politicians, and some people are and in some ways the politicians have been in some way misled by the public, because they are interpreting what the public has voted for in whatever way suits them best, or whatever way they see it. So it kind of goes both ways, but realistically, you're right. It shouldn't have been a question that was asked to the public in the first place, and there were a lot of forces on both sides that were trying to sway people on certain issues, and I think the Leave side definitely put out a lot more false information that's like actually fully misleading, but that's what happens when you have a referendum. That's what happens when you have a vote on these sorts of things. That's just how it works. Yeah, very much so. That's the thing. The argument didn't start from a neutral point, because the argument was being told to everyone by people that were not neutral, for the most part. A lot of people have a lot of things to answer for. Why is Theresa May still in government after what happened with Amber Rudd? Who knows? Here's a really interesting question. Why was it that the first thing she did when she got into office was fucking disband the Climate Change Committee? That's a bit weird, isn't it? What a strange thing to do. Right, okay, before this turns into a purely political rant, and all of my viewers who are conservatives promptly hang themselves in disbelief at my political views, I will Jesse, nope, this is politics now. If you own XRP, you're a Tory. That's my favourite thing. I might just start using that when people criticize me about it. Yeah, that's true, right, Gal? But I think it's even then there were narratives at play, and it was again the right wing media that was trying to push that situation, and also ironically the left for politics as well, because they wanted to undermine Cameron. They wanted to see Cameron have to deal with this situation because they were like, oh, it will never happen. That's how it goes. But anyway, that's the end of this political broadcast. This party political broadcast for the Green Party. Vote Green. If they stand in your area, which they don't stand in that many yet, unfortunately. But if they did, then you should probably. Your vote's not going to matter anyway, so you might as well vote Green. It'll help them and me, kind of. Not directly, but yeah, that's it. I'm going to end it before this goes any more crazy. It's been an interesting chat today. We've covered a lot of stuff. Haven't really done very much trading at all. But hey, I've enjoyed it. So thanks for watching, everyone. My weekly update will be out on Monday as usual, as will probably my new article for the Evening Standard. So look out for that. That's it. I'll chat to you guys next time.